So just a bit of an overview. That works beautiful. To what's happening. So it's a 3-council partnership for our garden organic service. We're thinking heavily about FOGO, which our contract currently says will be implemented in year 7 or 5 years from now, or sooner if we can get the processing facility ready in that time. So at the moment it's just garden organics we're collecting. We're trying to sort of address some of the issues we have with contamination, obviously, in this start, and educating people. And the most successful path we've found so far with that is showing them what we produce with the stuff we collect. So this is going into your garden. This is the basis of most of our education now. Most of our messaging is positive. This is what happens with it. It's going to community gardens, it's going to schools, it's going to public spaces. If you put crap in, you get crap there. So that's basically what we're trying to tell people. Where we do have repeat contamination, Leanne actually knocks on doors. I did hear someone a couple of sessions say, who wants to knock on doors? Leanne knocks on doors. Her drivers actually pin that bin, don't collect that bin if it's too contaminated. She goes back and knocks on a door and has a one-to-one conversation about what you did wrong. This is also proving very successful. And our re-offender rate with contamination bins is less than 0.1%. So I think that's the best way to go. As soon as you say to someone, don't do something, they miss the don't part and they carry on with the rest of the message. So we're just talking about positive things with them mostly. And that's what we do with this. So in the first year that we were collecting garden organics, we were giving it back. We've bagged it from time to time and done pop-up events, so Facebook events. You know, drop a pallet of this stuff somewhere in a community park, let them know it's going to be there for a couple of hours, come and have a chat. No one gets to just walk away with the bag without having a chat to us about what it is, what's in it, feel, touch, smell, sort of thing, get familiar with all these sorts of things that we have. And then we have had some overwhelming events that have happened and caused major traffic hassles on one event that was too close to a major highway. But we got the message out there, so that was what we were trying to do. So in the first 2 years, we've had 18 of these sorts of events and distributed 836 bags of what we call the Your Garden Organics. So it's actually in a promotional bag, as you see there, with lots of information about exactly where it came from so that people know and the standards that it met. A&L have been very supportive, they're our processor, in actually bagging these for us and getting the bags produced in a very sort of colourful, sort of different way. We quite often get comments about where can I buy this, and we say, well, you can't buy this free promotional bag, but it's also marketed under these other names. So we've actually, Leanne's also been talking to a couple of our landscape supply businesses about stocking the product so people can get it by the trailer load as well. And that brings us on to where to now, bigger markets. So we've given away 11 tonnes that way, but in the first 2 years we collected 28,000 tonnes of garden organics. So we need to find bigger markets for this stuff and bigger uses, because it is all about completing the cycle and the circular economy.
Thanks, Tricia. Hi. So yes, what we found with our giveaways, which were really successful and have been increasingly successful, we get a lot of return customers or attendees, and but we get a lot of the same kind of questions. How do I use it? What sort of gardens can I use it in? And that's that same old question, what about the seeds and weeds? Oh, I'm not going to have that stuff in my garden. And we have a really high quality product. We're very proud of it. I've used it, I've tested it myself. The giveaways give us that opportunity to have that face-to-face contact and say, no problem with that. Do this is how you use it, and then just stand back and watch it grow. And we've seen a lot of the other presentations talking about the advantages of putting compost back into the soil. And in our area, we have a lot of depleted soils or clay soil, so it works really well. But then we wanted to expand on it. So in our second year, we thought, well, how do we make this bigger, as well as addressing the concerns of residents? So the feedback that we'd been getting. So we came up with Garden Blitz. So our objectives were to deliver a project in each LGA that would benefit the community, demonstrate the range of uses and quality of the final product, increase awareness of the environmental and economic benefits, maximise reach and promote the website, and provide a personal benefit reason to use the service correctly. Slide. And so we conducted a social and print media campaign inviting community groups, schools and preschools to apply for a one-day garden makeover using the ANL range of products. ANL have been amazing with this, just helping us with all the giveaways. They provide all the material and all they do is go like that and they make it work. With this project, we would provide a local landscape designer to work with the applicant to design a garden project. We'd provide the labour, soil, plants, garden bed construction, seeding and simple paving. We also, as it developed, because it was just a trial to see where we would go with it, so we also included the Replas furniture made from recycled plastic bags and drip irrigation to complete that whole sustainability model message. And of course, did I tell you, it was all going to be in one day, and if you don't know what you're doing, you schedule the 3 of them in the same week. I wouldn't do that again. Okay, all messaging was directed back to the website, and this maximised our reach and provided an opportunity to find out more about the service. So, we felt it was really important to keep this application simple, particularly with the time and capacity constraints of our target audience. Selections were based on community benefit, long-term viability, achievable and availability. As we said, we all have great dreams, but we only have one day, so please keep it simple. We also had a short time frame because we had to get it out in that year. But we launched it in May, closed in June, announced in July and delivered in September. We held the official openings in November, and because we figured there was really not that much need to give them longer lead time because everyone leaves it to the last minute anyway. So we ended up receiving 31 applications, which met our target, and in short time frame, I think that was really, really, really good. We received 29 online applications were via the website, and one thing with that, we did ask for photos, so we got an idea of the sort of sites that we were looking at, and they could give us video applications, and we had some great video applications that we could use. We had promoted on the website. Issue with that, I said put it in through lodge it with your application, and that was really problematic. Should have just said send me the link or drop it in on a thumb drive. Anyway, three sites were shortlisted from each LGA, and we followed that up with site visits before the final selection. Definitely the hardest part of the project, particularly when you keep the criteria really simple, the selection's really difficult. While schools were not our original priority audience, once we saw the applications and the community support behind them, we ended up with 4 primary schools and a preschool. Now, we also engaged a production company to take footage on at 3 of the sites and produce online videos, which we used in council promotions and social media. The video we're going to show you is one for Millfield Public in Cessnock Council, and of course the others are up on our website, and they're all slightly different. So,
do you want to move the walls back around?
Yeah, just so I put a paper bag over my head now. Sorry.
Sorry. Turn away. Turn away.
Garden Blitz project is an initiative of Garden Organic Service, which is provided by the Cessnock, Maitland, Singleton councils. It's the green waste service. Schools, community groups and preschools were invited to apply for the Garden Organics Blitz 2018, and we wanted it to be a practical demonstration of how it is a closed loop and how the material you put in your green bin is of benefit to everyone. How all the material that's recovered is actually processed, then it's used by agriculture, vineyards and local landscapers, by farmers and home gardeners. So we're coming into an underutilised space that needed a little bit of care, and we'll be landscaping and we'll be just rejuvenating it and making it a wonderful new space. Leanne and Scott from Hunter Plantscapes have done a sensational job, above and beyond. And the material from Australian Native Landscapes, who process all the material in our green bins, has been phenomenal.
We've had an absolute amazing day out here today. It's been a really big day. It's probably the hardest day I've worked in a long time, but we're just so happy to have everyone on board for this project, and thank you very much. Millfield and the school and the community are rapt with what's happened behind us.
Right, you'll notice that the furniture, the replas wasn't in there because it didn't arrive on time. But anyway. So Garden Blitz was a rewarding project, generating a lot of community involvement before, during and after the actual Blitz days. It was more about the process than the end point and the number of people who were involved in, affected by and using the final product. Official launches were held for each site, supported by the local mayors. They really love these kind of projects and they supported all of them, and involving the local communities. This included school fetes, 150th anniversary celebrations, school assemblies and community morning teas. One of the schools also held a very moving smoking ceremony attended by the local elders and achieved the highest attendance by the community at a school function, so they were very pleased about it. We received extensive coverage of the project in local print, media, council and recipient social media. It was a good news story for council and sustainability. Part of the agreement with the recipients was that they would also promote the complete story of the service using the educational videos to their students, staff and social community, and display the educational signage at the front of the school for 12 months. This feel-good community project received a lot of community buy-in and provided an effective and low-cost alternate form of messaging that expanded our reach and increased community awareness and ownership of the service. It also provided an effective vehicle to get educational messaging into the sections of the community not easily captured by the standard instructional how and why, including low socioeconomic areas with above-average contamination through the local schools. They gained a sense of ownership and a personal reason why to use the service correctly. It was great. But Trish, where to next?
In 2019, this year, with yet another short time frame, let's just make something happen. So to try and get more material out there and try a few bigger and better things, we're actually starting to liaise with a couple of the land care groups that we've got in our area, and also sporting groups and fields. And I must admit, so I'm the council person, I can admit this, we've not been very successful with our recreation teams in getting them to take on the product and use them. So we're going to go around the other way and go to the sporting group users and say, give this a go. Because most of them treat the sporting fields like they're their own personal assets, which is wonderful in one way because they do look after them like they're their own home. So we're just going to have a little go and see if they want to test some out on some of the fields that we've got out there, as well as the land care group. So we've got Moldbring already giving us no warning whatsoever that they want stuff next week. So that's where we're heading at the moment. And you can see the other two videos from the other two schools are on the webpage as well. And some of the videos we also have there about what happens with the material from collection to processing, all the rest of it there. So thank you, everyone.